May 6, 2021, sunny. Today, I will set off from Beijing to Ruijin, Jiangxi Province, the birthplace of the Chinese Soviet Republic, to touch the history 85 years ago. On an evening in October 1934, a column of 86,000 soldiers, their followers and supporters, set off silently from this town. Most of them were notified of the move without knowing where they were going. The people who saw them leaving thought that they would soon return, but they did not. Perhaps many people are wondering why, an African, I'm interested in the history of the Long March. I think for me, the history of my country is a bit similar to that of China. Both countries have resisted aggression, opposed the dictatorship, and were founded through the struggle of the people. Besides, the Independence Day of Burundi and the founding day of the CPC are both on July 1st. All kinds of similarity make me want to learn more about this part of history. For my trip, I chose 5 representative regions, including Ruijin, Yudu, Jinggangshan, Quanzhou, Zunyi, and Yang'an. I hope this journey will help me understand the history of the Chinese Revolution and bring me a new understanding of China's achievements today. Hey everybody, it's me, Bryce Ichigomije, and today I'm so excited because I'm going to explore the history of the Long March. Guys, I have read articles, I read books, I even saw movies and documentaries, and I was so mesmerized about the history of the Long March. And today, guys, I'm going to experience the whole experience of the Long March. You know what? Wish me luck because I'm going to be there with you guys. You know what? I will see you guys next time. Bye. May 7, 2021, Ruijin, thunder shower. In Ruijin impressed me deeply, not only because it was the first stop of my long march journey, but also because of the strong red atmosphere here. The huge 5-pointed star next to the city highway seems to tell the city's red history. Yes, speaking of communism, you cannot talk without Ruijin. Here, the CPC established the Provisional Central Government of the Chinese Soviet Republic, which is also the predecessor of New China. And in 1930s, Ruijin was its capital, as now Beijing. The place you see here behind me is very famous. Let me tell you why. Not only it was the first Soviet Union Congress National, but of course it was also where Mao Zedong was elected to be the chairman. And from that day, he began the Chinese regime. In the early morning of November 7, 1931, the Provisional Central Government of Chinese Soviet Republic was proclaimed, and Mao Zedong was elected as chairman of the Central Executive Committee and chairman of the People's Committee. Since then, Mao Zedong has been called Chairman Mao. This is the second Soviet Chinese office. As you can see, it's mentioned there around the plaque. And of course, Mao Zedong was living here with 3 powerful leaders. All I can say, was the red zone. And some people used to say that people used to gather here not only to learn knowledge, but of course to gain experience. And of course, some people might say that men in their houses were lacking because most of the people used to come here and learn energy and of course to learn more about history and of course the legacy of Mao Zedong. The Central Soviet area has been through hardships since its inception, and the growth of the Red regime was even more difficult. However, the CPC members led by Mao Zedong insisted on putting the people at heart and finally won the hearts of the people. This was the working environment, also known as the central government, where powerful leaders such as Mao Zedong used to come here and held big, powerful meetings. Now let me tell you, Come follow me. As you can see here around me, we have beautiful departments. And actually, this department, I don't know which department was it, but 2 people were allowed to walk inside. And if you see in the bedroom, actually, it's like a bedroom slash working office. So 2 people were allowed to walk inside. So yes, they didn't have that much, but actually they managed to do anything to work in this small room. I'm now located in Shaojuba, the place where the Second National Congress of the Chinese Soviet Union was held, and the seat of the second government of the Chinese Soviet. January 1934, the Second National Congress was held here, and of course the chairman was here to rule everything, and people loved it. Unfortunately, in 1934 October, this beautiful building was demolished by the enemies right after the Long March. But in 1956, it was rebuilt. Guys, if you look very closely, this auditorium, it has actually the shape of the Red Army hat. Yes, exactly. It's kind of octagonal, and inside you can see the textures, everything is crystal clear. Here, I heard the story of a well. This story answered my question as to why the CPC led by Mao Zedong was supported by the people. This place is known as the Shaojuba. Actually, it was famous back then because actually the central government here, and of course the Mao Zedong, used to come here in 1933. Actually, when he came here, he realized people here not only drink bad water, but of course it was not healthy. One day on September in 1933, he took a shovel and he started to dig a well. As you can see here behind me, the water was clean and of course pure. From that then, people started to call this well the Red Wheel, and people were so honored. And as you can see, beside the Red Wheel here, we have 14 characters to commemorate Mr. Mao Zedong, who is the chairman back then. Since the Red Army had always represented the interest of the people, many villagers who lived in the region joined the Red Army actively. Among them, the story of Huawu village impressed me deeply.
我爸爸是五杀区的宣传部长，他是宣传以后，新中央就报名参军，然后为自己啊，他就报名参军。参军后参军的时候，那就报名后那就先报名就先走，报了名呢就回来到的后山，每一个人整一头松树。 整生生的目的在就，如果是俺把民营好，就看他自己人家这个树种的怎么样。如果把俺把如果我是白我40条，就作为走急行树，这好像写信文，每一棵树也都给你们拍下头你每一个人的名字。
That was a very fascinating interview of Grandpa Hua. Actually, behind his main door, behind his house, we have a beautiful mountain here, and this mountain is called the Huangshan Mountain. And there's something very special in this mountain. They actually planted 17 pine trees, and those pine trees actually mean something very special. For instance, as you can see, those two trees over here actually belongs to Hua Grandpa's father and uncle. So Grandpa Hua, when he was a kid, when he misses a lot his father, his mom was like, follow me, I will show you where your father and your uncle lay down. So actually this tree, they are very special to Grandpa's legacy and of course, tremendous history. That year, 17 ambitious young people planted 17 pine trees on the mountain behind the village before leaving. Now, more than 80 years have passed. The pine trees have already been towering, but the soldiers who planted them never made their way back.
看到个头树，看到爸爸，呀，看到失去头树就是看到失去给风景。我们爸他还才是种英雄，爸他还在工作，还在当兵。冇想到个是真的。
The 17 pine trees are a portrayal of the fiery souls and a microcosm of tens of thousands of people in Ruijin who joined the Red Army. Ruijin, with a population of 240,000 at that time, had 110,000 participants in the Red Army. They were the sons of the parents, husbands of their wives, and even the fathers of unborn children. But for the great revolutionary cause, they abandoned their homes and devoted themselves to the battle. Most of them, like Grandpa Hua's father, never came back, leaving a huge scar in the hearts of their families. But they know that this is all for the revolution and the better tomorrow.
那有就说有等的是有，就俺妈妈都，那你也喊妈妈爸爸，那等俺正有妈妈爸爸的那有的，你爸爸有参加红就没回来就，给俺爸说，就是儿子俺带你来就，山上看到你爸爸正盖头时。 就好像你看到你爸爸，个爸爸也很穷你也很穷爸爸，就俺妈妈就讲话，个以前的农民以后这个样子，一年等一年一等一年，哇，没信息没未来就，个农民都，个农民他还是几年他到这样子都，农民听到消息，然后再通知我们，就小伙伴之间的。 为了做给之前了的跟人家，为了保卫做给他，是那一个共产党员英雄，同样其他英雄都俺英雄都做。
Facing the rise of the CPC, the KMT, led by Chiang Kai-shek, carried out an encirclement and suppression campaign against in the Soviet area. To put it more straightly, it was a slaughter. In the 1930s, Ruijin had a population of 240,000, of which 110,000 joined the CPC and more than 30,000 of them were killed in Ruijin. The aim of the KMT was obvious: killing all the communists in Ruijin. This place is very mesmerizing. Do you know why? It's full of history and I'm here to share the history with you guys. Now let me tell you something very interesting. Look at the tree behind me. It's very red, right? Do you know why? It has a history over 1,000 years. Do you see there on the second block? The chairman Mao Zedong used to live here. Well, let me just say, like one day on the spring 1933, when he was doing what he likes to do, reading books, newspaper, guess what happened? The KMT military aircraft launched a bomb. Obviously, their target was to aim Mao Zedong on the second floor. But actually, it failed. It landed on the tree and it blasted. That's why the tree shape is very weird. It blasted. But actually, that day, as you know, Mao Zedong was safe. In September 1933, the KMT authorities launched the 5th encirclement and suppression campaign against the Central Revolutionary Base with 500,000 troops. Due to wrong military command, the Red Army suffered heavy casualties in several battles. After 1 year, guess what happened? Because of the nationalist, the government stopped everything and started the Long March, also known as the Spirit of the Long March. In October 1934, the Central Committee of the CPC and the Central Red Army were forced to withdraw from the Central Revolutionary Base for a strategic shift. As you can see behind me here, we have a beautiful statue, and it's not like other statues. Let me tell you why. Because it's known as the Red Army Maitaya Memorial Pagoda. Well, let me tell you more about this amazing memorial statue, as you can see here behind me. Well, all I can say is 13 meters tall, and on it actually has countless stones because it represents the martyrs and the soldiers of the Red Army during the 1930s. And yes, obviously, it was built by the government to commemorate the Red Army. May 11, 2021, sunny. During the days in Ruijin, I felt the deep red spirit of the city. 90 years ago, great things happened here that changed China and even the world. 90 years later, I walked into Ruijin with immense reverence and had a chance to feel its rich red history directly and closely. Here, I saw the people of Soviet area supported the revolution with their lives. I saw that the Soviet cadres also cared deeply about the people. It is this emotional connection, like the relationship between fish and water, that made the Ruijin people dedicated everything they have to the Communist Party of China. Red is Ruijin's background color. There is a saying, in Ruijin, the establishment of a government shook the earth. In Beijing, the founding of a nation changed the country. From the Chinese Soviet Republic to the People's Republic of China, from Ruijin to Beijing, this red road was tough and great. The historical transformation of the Communist Party of China from a revolutionary party to a ruling party started in Ruijin. And today, I want to follow the footsteps of the Red Army and go to the next city, Yudu, where the main force of the Central Red Army gathered and set off for the Long March in 1934. In Yudu, I met a little guide here. Although he is only 10 years old, he can tell me many details about the history of the Long March in Yudu.
小朋友你好，
叔叔你好。
你好，你能不能介绍自己啊？
我叫季玉明，来自于都县城关小学。
那我想问你个问题，小朋友，你从什么时候，而且你为什么感兴趣做这个小红心 ？OK。
我是在2019年的时候呢，加入了这个纪念馆，正式成为了一名小红心讲解员。而我呢，也是为了将我们于都80多年前峥嵘岁月来展示给人们，所以我才加入了纪念馆。
然后呢，就是因为我不太了解关于这个故事，然后我看你非常了解，你能不能告诉我一些故事关于？
也可以
吗？
这是一组宋郎当红军的雕像，中间的这位红军战士还是一位年轻的父亲。当年为了积极响应参加红军的号召，也为了心中的理想和信念，他毅然告别了自己的爱妻和嗷嗷待哺的孩子，加入了红军队伍，走上前线。看着这组雕像，仿佛又回到了那段峥嵘岁月，妻送郎，母送子，父子兄弟同上阵场的情景又浮现在了我们的眼前。在我县营坑地区呀，有一位叫肖玉女的妇女，新婚才1个月，就动员自己的丈夫去参加红军。村干部问她：“你舍得吗？”她说道：“这有什么不舍得的呀？等打倒了国民党，我们的好日子还长着呢。”苏区时期，我县共有68519人参加红军，10万人之前参战，参军参战多达16万之多。在参加长征的8.6万中央红军中，有1.7万是于都儿女，可是到了建国后，仅剩下277人。然而，我们的姓名所查找到的烈士只有16000多人，还有很多人牺牲在了第5次反围剿的战场上，牺牲在了长征路上。直到今天，我们都不知道他们的名字。虽然他们没有见到新中国的成立，但是他们同样为新中国的成立做出了不可磨灭的贡献。
Like those in Ruijin, in the 1930s, almost every family in Yudu had members who joined the Red Army. Now, many families in this city are descendants of the Red Army soldiers, and the Long March spirit encourages everyone who lives here. May 8, 2021, Yudu, thunderstorm. On the first day in Yudu County, The little guide Ji Yuming told me the story about a wife sending her husband to join the Red Army. This place, Yudu, is also known as the Long March Source. It's located in the east of Guangzhou City, Jiangxi Province, and regarded as the starting point of the Long March of the Central Red Army and the last base of the Central Soviet area.
资本套路，
老么就有黑，
老么
就有黑，资本跟咖黑，
资本跟咖黑，
爱太年呀，爱太。